Blame it all on Chris, he's never ready. It's always the sound man. You're not the sound man. I think we need a sound man. We need a bloke with one of them things. Dangle. Action. Yeah, can we get a snapper, please? I want one of them. I'm ready. In the zone. Intro, perfect, right. Hello, and my name's Christian. Welcome back to another video from Average Wine Consumer. What this video is about today is I'm just going to try and explain some of the ideas of what you might want for Christmas, the classic Christmas things that most people go for at Christmas, and what I kind of think that I go, well, not what I think, what I do actually go for Christmas instead, because I do think there's a lot out there for a lot cheaper than what you might think or what you usually think you have to have at Christmas. Okay, so start off, one of the main drinks on Christmas Day, I think that most people like to partake in, is champagne. Ta-da! Lovely. So this is Joseph Perrier. This is a brut. This is a very classic house-style champagne. Lovely, easy-going, easy drinking. Okay. Champagne, of course, has to be from France, has to be from the region of Champagne, and that's also why it kind of comes with a price tag, okay? Because it can only come from the one region, it can only be made in the one area, okay? It means that the land is finite, it's not masses of land, everybody's fighting over it, means prices go up, and if you want a good bottle of champagne, you're probably going to be spending anywhere from around 40 to 50 to 60 pounds, and you can actually increase that number well up into the hundreds if you wish, okay? But personally for me, I think although champagne is lovely and everybody does love champagne, I do love champagne, I think you're better off going for an option like this, okay? So this is what's called Pongratz. This is a South African sparkling wine, and what's interesting about this is actually on the back of the label where it says Method Cap Classique, and you'll find this kind of across the world with loads of different sparkling wines where it will have method this or method traditional or method something. All these stamps mean, or all these kind of titles mean, is that they've actually been made in exactly the same way as champagne, okay? So it's using the same grape varieties, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier. It spends the same amount of time kind of aging. So what they do is they get the grapes, make a wine in a barrel, then it ages in bottle for up to like 2-3 years. Then it goes and sits after disgorgement, and then it has to rest for another year before being sold. So it's been made in exactly the same way as champagne, using exactly the same grapes as champagne, but because it's not from Champagne, you don't have to pay the price tag for this. So roughly, you can buy a bottle of Joseph Perrier from anywhere between 31 to kind of 36, 37 pounds on average in most shops. This Pongratz here, similar style and kind of flavour, taste, everything, bold, rich, lovely bubbles, beautiful foam, everything is absolutely lovely. The mousse is incredible. This is £15.99 a bottle. It's half the price, and it's as good, if not maybe better, than some champagnes that you can find out there. There are other sparkling wines, of course, available. If you like Prosecco, you can just go for Prosecco. If you like Cava, do just go for Cava. Cava's another one where it's made in pretty much the same way as champagne. It's just a lot cheaper because it doesn't come from the region of Champagne. Okay, lovely. Now showing the next wines. Everybody on Christmas Day, after having a fizz, maybe wants to go on to a white wine. At least is what I've decided. I think most people like to go from a fizz to a white. And what's more classic white wine than a Burgundy? So Meursault, oh, very nice, very lovely. Big, buttery Chardonnay, spends a lot of time in oak, really beautiful wine. This is kind of one of those absolute monsters where you're gonna drink it and you're gonna go, oh, I feel like class, this is incredible, this is stunning, this is lovely, okay? Meursault from Burgundy is expensive. All Meursaults are kind of, on average, you're looking about 40, 45, 50, 60, and you can spend, same as champagne, upwards of hundreds of pounds on a really good bottle of Meursault, okay? And Meursault is incredible, yeah, you're paying for it, but it is incredible. It's absolutely stunning as a grape. But what I might say is what you could do for something a wee bit different, if you wanted to just do kind of a cheaper version. It's not gonna be as smooth, as soft, as kind of mellow, as soft buttery with good level of acidity, but if you want something just as a kind of a really lovely kind of alternative for a Chardonnay grown in Burgundy, try something like this, a New World Chardonnay. So this is from Kumai Village, okay? It says hand harvested Chardonnay. It's from New Zealand, so New Zealand Chardonnay. And then what would we expect from this? This spends a little bit of time in an oak barrel, so similar to a Merceau. So you are going to have that buttery sort of taste, probably a little bit more acidity, so that kind of zing in your mouth, the watering inside of your mouth, that lovely freshness that you get from most white wines. So you will have that as well. It's just another option. Okay, I'm not saying this is going to be on the same level as a Merceau, because of course it isn't. But if you don't feel like forking out the money for something really incredible, I would highly recommend looking at Chardonnays from the New World. On average, the prices are a lot cheaper if you like the style of the big, buttery, kind of heavier, richer styles. If you want something a bit softer with a bit more kind of like zing and acidity on the palate, then I'd probably recommend not going for something like a village wine where it says Merceau, so it's named after one town, but just get a Van der Bourgogne, a white wine of Burgundy, and just get one that just says a Bourgogne Chardonnay. Okay, it will be still from the same region as where this is from, way more than half the price of what you usually be spending on a bottle of Merceau. Same grape variety. The only thing is it's not had as much winemaking process gone into it, so of course it's not going to be as good as such as a true Merceau, but still a very good option if you don't want to be spending that amount of money. Okay, so for reference, this bottle of Merceau on the shelf that we sell it for is £49 off the top of my head, and this Kumai Village Chardonnay is only £14. So you're looking at a drastic price difference between the two, and this is a very good, very easy drinking Chardonnay, and this is just a delightful bottle of Merceau. Okay, lovely. Moving on to the reds. Staying within Burgundy, red Burgundy. Who doesn't like a red Burgundy? Pinot Noir, absolutely incredible, smooth, soft, kind of that spicy earth floor note you sometimes get, like when you walk through a forest after rain, that kind of smell with a little bit of spice. Low alcohol, very light, very fruity, but very delicious, and layers of flavour. So this is from Otzy-Duresse. That just means it's from around the town, the region of Otzy-Duresse within Burgundy. It's got the vintage, and it's from Contalmain. This bottle here is, off the top of my head, I think it's £44 is what we sell it for. It is incredible. It is an absolutely stunning Burgundy. If you like red Burgundies, if you like Pinot Noirs anyway as a whole, this is incredible. This would go well with kind of your starters. I wouldn't put this with your mains or your big hefty Christmas dinner, because we're going to get to that just afterwards. But this kind of, if you just want a drink whilst you're waiting for your turkey to roast or whatever, you give a little go on this and it'll go down an absolute treat. What I've kind of picked to go say, I think this will go really well, is this little number right here. And this is called Plantagenet, the 3 lines, and this is another Pinot Noir. Okay, so same grape variety as what we're getting from Burgundy. And off the top of my head, this one is from Australia. So this is an Aussie Pinot Noir. The difference between the two that is quite obvious, well, it might not actually be on this one. This one might be a wee bit higher. Usually, Aussie Pinot Noirs as a whole are higher, some of them are higher in alcohol, higher in that kind of body within your mouth. It's a bit spicy, a bit bigger, a bit bolder compared to what you get from Burgundy. This one's actually only 13.5%, which still isn't that low, but it is quite high for an alcohol percentage within a Pinot anyway. They can go down as little as 12%, okay? This is what I'd class as probably an incredible value for money Pinot Noir. It's $15.99, so £16 on the shelf. This for me gives me most of the things I'm getting from a good Burgundy, which sounds really bad. Most of, not all, because of course you're paying for the premium of Burgundy. You're paying for that level of winemaking. This does have still very good winemaking techniques. This is soft, incredibly smooth, light red, like that crimson red colour, almost like rusty red colour on it. A little bit of spice. Very, very easy drinking, and just kind of like a classic glugger. So this would be perfect on Christmas Day if you don't want to be spending the money on something really expensive, but you still do kind of want to show off with a really lovely bottle of red wine. I'd highly recommend getting a bottle of something New World, Pinot Noir. Just look on the back of the label, look for something that says Pinot Noir, look for something with a lowish ABV. The only thing I would say is the lower the alcohol content goes in the New World, sometimes the acidity goes higher, so when you drink them they can be quite zingy and quite tart, so you're a bit like, ooh, which can't be nice for some people, but some people do really enjoy that. If you want something a bit bigger, a bit richer, look for the higher alcohol content Pinot Noirs from places like America, California. You get these big, rich, spicy Pinot Noirs, which are absolutely incredible. And even those, they only usually average retail about 25 to 28 pounds. You can get a really, really good one. Take Albon Climat, for example, for around that price range, which would be another incredible shout for a good other style, instead of going for the classic French wines as such for your Christmas dinner. Okay? Now, you've got your turkey out of the oven. We're thinking we need something rich, we need something bold. Other meats are available. If you don't like turkey, you can have roast beef or whatever. Most people would go with the classic Bordeaux and Christmas Bordeaux. The only issue with Bordeaux is it's expensive. A lot of the really good stuff is very expensive. What you kind of want to look for within Bordeaux is the house, where it comes from. So there's the different regions of Bordeaux. You've got right bank, left bank. Once you've picked the style that you're into, then you look for the region. This one's from Saint Estèphe, and this is Chateau de Pez. It's just a Bordeaux that I like to drink. Very easy going, just spicy, lovely, classic Bordeaux taste really. But this, unfortunately, retails for about £45, which is quite a bit of money. And I know that on Christmas you're meant to celebrate, you're meant to drink very nice wines and spend lots of money. But if you spend lots of money on presents, you might not have enough money to spend on something like this. So there's a few different ways you can go around this. You can either go for, say, a cheaper Bordeaux, because Bordeaux's can be a lot cheaper. They can average about £14. The only issue with that is if you want something really incredible to pair with a bit of meat, you want something with a bit of age from a really reputable house, so producer. And the reason for that is you want that kind of soft, easy going, not ridiculously strong tannins. You just drink and it flows down your throat and it's incredible. That's kind of what we want from a good Bordeaux. You don't want something which is quite bitter, tart, in your face. It's a kind of, oh God. And when you drink it, your tongue, it feels gritty and it's sticking to your mouth and your teeth are stuck to your lips like that. You want something that's smooth and easy going. I've gone kind of a bit away from the idea of doing a similar wine, and I'd actually say pair with something Italian. The reason why I say Italy is most Italian wines are big, bold, fruity, kind of everything that everybody loves, a little bit of sugar in there, so everybody goes, oh, we love this, it's so delicious. And I've chosen to recommend this, which is the Nizza from 2017. It's just another one that we sell. This is an incredible bottle of wine, so rich, so just like vanilla, dark chocolate, berries, stuff like that. And I think this would be a really good alternative for a pairing to go with meat on the Christmas day. All you want is you want something that will cut through the food and that will help you drink. If you're having a big, rich, fatty Christmas dinner, something like an Italian red will pair lovely with that because it will cut through the fat and you'll just enjoy drinking it. The only issue is usually the Italian ones are a little bit higher in the alcohol content, so I wouldn't recommend drinking as much because otherwise you might be on the floor. Okay? Very quick for reference, Chateau de Pez, 45 on the shelf. Nizza, £17.99. So yet again, half the price for an Italian alternative. And realistically, you can get an Italian Primitivo for about 10, 12, even less, £8. And I think that would pair lovely with loads of meats and rich foods that you're going to be having on Christmas Day. Finally, to end, most people like to end Christmas Day with a bottle of port. So what is port and what are we drinking? Port is a thing made in Portugal, made in Porto. There are two kind of classic styles of port. There are the vintage styles, which gets aged in bottle, or there's the younger styles, which are produced to be drank now. What that means is a vintage port, although it carries a price tag, you're looking at the fact that it's been aged for years and years and years. They're usually on average very old, very rich, very lovely, full of flavour, incredible, and not actually as big and bold as I think most people think. But then the issue with that is you pay a hefty price tag. Most vintage ports would be on average more than £50. On average, I'd say 55, anywhere up to a couple £100 for a bottle of really good port. This Quinta de Vesuvio vintage port from 2000, so this isn't even a really old port. This is still a very young vintage port. This is £55 on the shelf. If you want something which is kind of similar to a vintage port, but you don't want to be spending that sort of price, there's a few different options. You can get things like crusted ports, which are a blend of different vintages. So instead of being a single vintage from one year, they blend different vintage ports together, then bottle them. But very similarly to a vintage port, it needs to be decanted to get rid of the sediment which is in the bottom. But these are rich, bold, they're made in the style like a vintage port, but to be drank younger, so you don't have to wait as long on them, so you don't have to let them age for 10 to 15 years is kind of what they usually say is how long you're going to want to leave a port until you start to drink a vintage. Or what I've gone for, something classic like an LBV, a late bottled vintage. So what this is although it says 2015 on the back, it just means this is a vintage of grapes from the 2015 vintage, but it's a different winemaking process. Instead of putting it aging for 3 years in barrel and then putting it straight into bottle to allow the fermentation and kind of the maturing of the wine in the bottle, they mature LBVs in barrel, so it takes on some of the characteristics of what a vintage port would be, but you're not paying for the fact that it's been aged in a cellar for 50 years. It's just ready to go now. These you can drink within the first 5 years of their release and they will drink perfectly. If you want to sit on an LBV LBV. You can buy older LBVs, you can buy LBVs which are 20, 30 years old, but the price does go up. I just look for a classic great LBV. Graham's are a very good example of this. Very lovely, very easygoing LBV. If you just want something easy at the end of your meal to have with cheese and have something a bit yummy to kind of sweet tooth end your evening on. Okay. Reference on the price, the Quinta de Vesuvio vintage port from 2000 is £55, and the Graham's 2015 LBV on offer at the moment is £10, £11 actually, so very cheap, but usually you find these for about £15 on the shelf, so not that expensive. And a crusted port can be anywhere, I'd say around 20, so just a little bit more expensive, but not that much. Okay, perfect. And then I hope that kind of made a little bit of sense as to what I'd be drinking at Christmas. I'd usually go for an LBV. I wouldn't go for the classic, the French, the Bordeaux, the Burgundies. I'd be picking something a little bit different, a little bit wilder, maybe a new world, maybe something a bit interesting, funky, maybe even a biodynamic organic wine in there, because I just kind of like to drink things like that. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a comment. If there's anything else you'd like to know. I've been Christian. This is another video from Average Wine Consumer. Thank you very much.